I think about this story that Michael tells about early on when he was at Dell and he was selling computers. He got put on this like team that wasn't performing well. And so they would just sit around and spend hours out of the day complaining about how they didn't get referrals. Yeah. They were the victim. Like it was everyone else's fault. And so he said that it just like clicked for him one day. He was like,
thank you everyone for listening to episode 6 of Authentic as Fuck podcast.
You're getting better.
Thank you.
You've been practicing?
No, I don't know why. Like when I just say it comes out natural. Like if somebody, I'm like, that's authentic as fuck. Like, but yeah, I don't know. But people love the name. So I think
it's a great name.
Yeah, we might stick to it.
Yeah,
like people would like tag me, like people would tag me and say like authentic as fuck.
That's really good. I like it. We need like swag.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea because I feel like even if this wasn't my podcast, or like if I didn't know anything about it, if there was a shirt that says authentic as fuck, I would probably buy it.
I would probably buy it. And then I'd probably like Google, like, is this from anything?
That's true.
And then
we should definitely do that.
Yeah. Our podcast would show up. Oh,
That's
you know
true.
what? We should do it in like a cool, like in an unexpected, like font. Like something like a cursive or like, the font like that Amy Porterfield uses.
Yeah.
Like have it in like, in a way that
so it's not like
it to be written.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Like, because if I saw a shirt like that, like I wouldn't know from a distance. I'd be like, oh, it must say like something sweet or funny.
Then you go in, you're like,
and then you're like, whoa. Because that's the kind of shirt I would want to wear. And my friends would be like, oh, that's such a cute shirt. They would like,
it's like, oh, and then they're like, oh, never mind.
Oh, you wear that around your kids?
I never know like how to deal with like, so how does Michael do it? Like when I write captions or when I write something like, or in subtitle or something like that, like, should I just spell out fuck or?
Yeah. So, that's a great question because we've been working, he and I just had a conversation about this the other day.
Oh, really?
And yeah. And because like on LinkedIn, he's gotten, even without the, or even with like, putting stars or $sign or bleeping it out, people still have gotten offended in that arena. And have
it's not against like, it's not violating anything though, is it?
No, I think it just, offends them. And then we actually had a speaking engagement where someone was afraid to refer us because of the language that he uses, because they were like, we don't know if we want to, if I want to refer you because you could offend a lot of people. And I don't want to associate my name with that. And so that got him thinking. I guess
you have to think about that. Yeah.
That got him thinking about, but wait a second, what is authentic to me? And that's part of like how he talks. That's part of how he makes a point sometimes. At the same time, you don't want to use it to where it loses all its meaning and it's just like vulgar and
but you can always tell.
Offensive. Yeah, you can always tell. But so I think he got to the way he described it to me was if I'm going into someone else's world, so I'm getting paid to speak, I'm coming in, you're bringing me in. I don't want to offend your people or do anything like that. So obviously take note of that and be cognizant of how he's speaking in front of others. But if people come into his world and are part of the Mask Free program, he feels like, you're paying to be a part of this. This is who he is. This is his personality. And he's not going to do it to excess. But that's who he is. Cause he also had a member, someone that was thinking about being a member, who said like the language offended them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so that's how he got to, okay, if I'm stepping outside of my place, like outside of my world, obviously there's a way to carry myself. But if people are coming into my world, it's my world.
It's so mind-boggling to me that we even have to think about that. Because
yeah.
I mean, I guess like if I'm going to an elementary school and speaking, right? Obviously, I can't like I can't say fuck this, right? Like that's because that's kind of obvious to me. But I mean, I guess even then, right? Like I don't know, because my parents are super strict, like about everything, right? Grades or like curfew and all of that. But they were never strict about cursing for some reason.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So I never like grew up like in my house, cursing was never considered like something you can get in trouble for.
Was it used often, or was it like, yeah?
But my parents cursed in front of us, and when we cursed, like it was no big deal. Like,
right.
I didn't even know that there was a thing until I was in public and I was cursing and like I got in trouble for it.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Like, I think that it's all so personal, like what people get offended by and what they don't, right? Like that kind of language in music, or the things that are said in music about women, or and different things that are degrading. Like that doesn't really bother me, but some people it really, really bothers them. I remember when I was like coaching, I was a fitness coach, and we would select the music that we played, and you never could win. Like in every class, someone is going to get offended by something
every song
that's in your playlist. One song, every song is offending someone in the class. And so I think
especially now,
you're going to lose.
I mean, but I have a lot of like people that I talk to, like from foreign countries. I guess they're religious, or I don't know why, but they don't curse, right? So even when they refer to the podcast name, they'll be like, "Oh, authentic is," and then they won't say the word, right?
Yeah.
And I'll ask them like, "Oh, like, do you not curse?" And then they're like, "No."
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, but they don't have problem with me saying it, you know?
Right. Yeah, and you know, it is so personal. I think you just have to be true to yourself, and I think that's what Michael got to. Was like, I want to be true to myself, and that, especially when I'm in my world, like, and people are coming.
I guess if they tell you up front, like, you know, you can't say these words. I guess if somebody says, okay, like you can't say these words because of whatever reason, then I won't, right?
Yeah.
Because I've been in situations where I'm in a meeting and like, you know, I'll say fuck or something like this, slips out, and then they didn't like it, and then I'll make sure not to do it again, right?
Right.
But it's at the same time, I'm not doing it on purpose. Like I'm not the type of person that like curses like a sailor, right?
Right.
So, but once in a while it might slip out.
Right.
But it's natural. It's like, I think you can always tell when somebody's like forcing it versus that's just how they talk. Or I've been in situations where it kind of slipped out, like in the meeting. And then I was like, I think I said like, oh, like that's fucking bullshit or something like that. And then I was like, oh shit. Like I actually caught myself.
And then you cursed when you caught yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh shit. But then it was like kind of funny, right? And she laughed. And then literally from that moment, like that was like the first time we've met. And it was kind of like a business meeting.
Right.
And as soon as that happened, it literally broke all the ice in the room. From that point on, we were like best friends.
Yeah, I could see that because she got to see like you do something real. She got to see like the veil come off for a second, like where you realize, oh,
he's just like another human like me.
Yeah. He just stuck his foot in his mouth, and now here we are, and we can laugh about it.
Yeah.
She sounds pretty cool that she didn't like.
Yeah. I actually think like 90% of people I meet are like that. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like we live in a world right now where when you're on YouTube, right? I mean, I don't really watch news, or like I'm not on Facebook, but I am on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube, everything is just so polarized that it's when you're on YouTube and you're looking at the world through the lens of YouTube, you feel like everybody's either here or here. But then when I'm in the real world talking to most people are like 90% of people are actually in the middle. You know, they're
It's kind of like comments on like Yelp or something, or even Amazon.
Yeah. Everyone loves it.
Right. Either they love it or they absolutely hate it. And I think you have to take those with a grain of salt, because it's like, when do I ever write a review? When I'm super annoyed and dissatisfied.
It's true.
Or when I had the best experience in my life and it's the best product I've ever used or best service. So,
you know what? I never thought of it that way.
Whoa! I just got wow from the master. Thank you.
That's true, right? Like,
I feel like
when
you're saying like, good
like
job, grasshopper.
Got your star, your first star. When an experience is like a 3-star, I'm like, well, like I feel too lazy to comment. Or
right. Like I'm not, like, if you send me an email to write a review, if I didn't write a review about your product, it's because it
was satisfactory.
It was fine. Yeah, it was fine. Are you familiar with the NPS score?
No.
So it's the Net Promoter Score, and it's what people use as like across the board. It's like a marketing tool that's used to see like, are your customers engaged or not? And I'm probably not giving it the credit or explaining it the way it's intended to be used, but like, for instance, companies will survey and say, how likely are you to recommend this product or service to a friend? And it's 1 to 10, 10 being like definitely, 1 being not at all, or 0 being not at all. And so if anyone scores like, I hope I'm getting this correct, but it's like, you don't really care unless someone gave you a 9 or a 10, because they're like your super engaged clientele. And then you don't care if anyone, and you only care if someone gave you like a 6 and below. Yeah. So they completely exclude, and they're like, don't even worry about the people that give you like a 6 through an 8 or a 5 through an 8 or something like that. The only people you need to worry about are your super, your haters and your super engaged clientele. Because the other people are kind of like, yeah, I'm going to keep coming. I'm satisfied. I'm not. They're in the middle. They're fine. But
yeah, I guess, yeah,
it's the people on either end.
I'm actually like naturally like that. I completely ignore in my head, and I'm sure you've seen me like that before. Like, if somebody compliments me, it just goes on one ear and out the other. Like, I mean, it's not a great habit, right? But I can't help it, because I've just been like that my whole life. Like, I literally put 0 value to compliments.
Probably because it sounds like your parents didn't compliment. Did your parents compliment you, or was it always like, get more,
never.
Get more? That could be
my
why.
Parents are the ones that's never complimented me before, and everybody else has always complimented me, right? So I mean, I guess in the beginning maybe it was like it feels good or whatnot, but more and more time passed by. Now I look at it as, oh, they're just being nice, because and I see it happening so many times with clients, right? Like, a lot of businesses, they get feedback from their friends. So they're like, oh, what do you think of this website? What do you think of this copy? And everybody's all like, oh, it's amazing. It's like, and
Yeah.
I literally pay zero attention to that because like, it's amazing because they're your fucking friends. Like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
let's
That's
show it
why,
to some strangers.
yes, that is a huge thing that we've learned in this process. It's like in the beginning, the first few people to go through the program were all friends of Michael's. So they're always like, this is so great.
Yeah.
And so now that we're getting complete strangers in there and saying, this is so great, like those are the voices that matter more.
Yeah. Yeah. That actually, when it's a stranger complimenting you, it feels, but
right.
for me, it's even gotten to a point where that doesn't faze me either. And when somebody says something negative, like a troll or something like that, or somebody's just being mean, because I've had that
trolls?
too. No, not like in social media, but like in real life.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, like there's always
Real
haters
trolls.
at work. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It bothers me when there's some truth to it. When I know that there's some truth to it. Do you know? And there's always a little bit of truth in every troll, every like negative energy that you get like that. Yeah, and then maybe 90% of it is like them just like hating on you.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes like there's that 10% that just like hits me. It's like, oh, that's kind of true. Like I do that, or I am like that, right?
Yeah.
That really bothers me.
You know, I wonder how those people would take it if like, you're like, yeah, you know what? You're kind of right.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah.
But
good, actually.
Like, and then see what they do then. But I agree. I mean, yeah. But there's also actually, a lot of truth. There's truth in the compliments too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's truth in those. Even if they love you, and even if they're like, you know, even if it's Gigi, which I don't know, does Gigi compliment you a lot?
No, never.
Yeah.
She's like my parents.
Yeah. I'm that same way with Michael. Like I rarely ever compliment him. But I don't know if like when we compliment you, you're probably like, oh, they're just saying that. But because we're friends.
I guess it depends. Like if I'm working on a design, right? Like 99% of people that compliment me on a design, I completely ignore, because with design, what I found is that I guess, okay, there's a difference. I do take feedback when it comes to, okay, I'm putting out design, and I have to figure out which one most people like, that's going to work, right? Because a lot of times that's not what I consider is the best design. I know that, but I know that people like it, so I'll do it anyway. But I don't personally will be like, oh, that's amazing, right? But if I personally care about like, is this good or not, right? Then most people's opinion doesn't really affect me, because I'm just gonna be like, yeah, that's, you don't know anything about design, that's why. But then like, if
I knew that's what you were gonna say. You're like, hey, what the heck do you know about design? Why am I even asking you?
But if somebody like that's like really, really at the top of design game compliments, then I'll feel good. I'll feel validated or whatnot. But that's also why I don't give that many compliments, because I guess I'm like that. I'm so judgmental on myself that I'm not judgmental, but judging of myself, that I don't really give, like with my employees and things like that. I feel so fake giving, because, I probably should do that. This is probably why I'm not really a good boss or leader. I know that like when you compliment somebody and say, hey, good job, and all of that, like people love that. Do you know what I mean? But I don't do it very often. I almost never do it. And that probably is not good if you're like a manager or a boss. But when I do it, like it really means a lot to them because they know that like I wouldn't compliment unless I actually thought it was good. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And, I think that it's one thing to tell somebody good job, and it's another to like give a thoughtful,
Oh,
you
that's
are
true.
someone that gives a thoughtful compliment. Even like in our parenting, like we take in a Montessori approach to parenting. And one of the things that they talk about is giving praise. And so I never tell Amaret good job ever, but I'll say, wow, I love how you colored that blue, the dinosaur blue. Or I love how hard you're working on your Legos, because good job has like no value.
It's meaningless. It's meaningless.
Eventually, right? They're just looking for the like extrinsic or what is it? Intrinsic, extrinsic. They're looking for the
validation,
extrinsic validation. Yeah. And that's like not as
and also good job
motivating.
Yeah. It's also overused phrase, right? Because in work, like managers do it all the time. Right?
And parents do it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm so, because I don't say it to my child, every time I hear another parent say it to their kids, or my mom will say it to Amaret, or I hear other people say it to her, it like, I'm so aware of it, like how often we say it to people.
That's
and
true.
Especially our children. Like
now I'm going to be aware of it after this conversation.
Yeah. Like you'll be aware of like how many times people say like great job. And it's just like, great job what? But
I actually saw like one of my favorite people, Jocko Willink. He talks about like how leadership, and he compares it to parenting. And one of the things that he talks about is that, like what you said, and praising effort, not the result. And another thing is like, this is like a story that he tells, which is like, oh, it's so good, because he talks about like how somebody else telling a story about him where like they were at this pool party and all the kids were like doing, and then like kids love like when Jocko is judging, like they all do a dive and he's judging them.
Oh yeah.
And he was talking about how he does it, and it's like somebody will do it and let's say it wasn't that great. But like instead of saying like that sucks or whatever it is, like he'll say he'll go very specific. He said, I'll give that like a 5.6, right? And then like, and because of this, you didn't do the landing like this, and like now go try it again. And they love it, and they'll like run, then they'll like want to try to get better at it, right?
Exactly.
Like
exactly. Because you've given them like something to respond to.
Yeah. You give them a reason to try better.
Right. Improve, exactly. There's something to reach for.
Yeah. Which is what most bosses don't do, right? They're like, you either suck or you're good. Like that's it. Okay.
Right. And like we don't feel like we fit. Like we don't, I think we're so conditioned as adults that if we're not in the you're great at everything category, then that automatically makes us bad.
Yeah.
I remember when I would do performance evaluations and people would be so offended that I didn't give them like a 9 and a 10 on everything. Like,
because that's what they're used to.
But overall, yeah. And so I was the bad guy, but I, because I gave you a 7 on a specific area. And I think in personal branding, like you're getting criticized all the time. And there's a lot of value to the criticism. Like the praise is great, but the criticism, you don't have to take it all and change.
Like in business, I think criticism doesn't, I think when in workplace, people judge their how well they're doing based on the criticism or the praise, like that external validation. The thing about business is that nobody's giving you praise or criticism. There's none of that. They vote with their money. They vote with their wallet, right? So if
Oh,
you're a
in
business,
personal branding. Yeah.
in any kind
Or
of
in
business, right?
business. Yeah.
They're voting with their wallet. So if you're not making money, that means you suck. Like there's not like that's why like none of those like in companies you can complain all you want, saying like, oh, like this person's being mean or blah, 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 blah. Like in business, there's no excuse. Like if you're not making money, that means you suck. If you're making money, that means you're good, right?
Does that mean we suck? Does that mean I suck?
Black and white thing. I mean, like that's how we have to like. If you're the type of person that are like at a job, and they're like, the reason why I can't like, that the reason why I can't do well in this company is because this person is gonna dismiss everything that I do. Like my boss is gonna be like that. Like that person is probably not fit for business, because when you're running a business, there's nobody you can complain to. There's no one you can give excuse. There's no such thing. Like everything is on you.
It's just on you. Well, we talk about that so much. Like it's not about what it's not. If you're focused on they, like that, you're focused on the wrong thing. Like that's the external stuff. You can't control them, whether it's your business, whether you work for someone. Like, I think about this story that Michael tells about early on when he was at Dell and he was selling computers, and he was on this team that was known as like a really sucky team. I think he got put on this like team that wasn't performing well, and they all complained because they weren't getting the referrals that everybody else got. And so they would just sit around and spend hours out of the day complaining about how they didn't get referrals. They were the victim. Like it was everyone else's fault. And so he said that it just like clicked for him one day. He was like, man, if I just spent the time needed to build a relationship with the people that I get the referrals from, and like actually working on getting sales, let me see what happens. And it completely turned around. So once he focused on what he could control, the game changed. So
this is before the whole can't control Michael.
Yeah. But he used that in his recovery. That's a big part of like 12-step recovery is focusing on the things that you can control. And
great leaders live like drug addicts.
There you go. Yes. Because as an addict, it's everyone else's fault. The reason they're doing this is because everyone else. And
it's so true. Yeah.
So once you like focus on the things that you can do, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, whether it's your own company, because even as a business owner who's losing their ass, like I've seen them blame it on.
Yeah. Those are the ones those are the businesses that don't do well, right? They don't grow, or like they're
not here anymore.
Yeah. Or they go out of business because they're like, oh, it's I actually learned that like early stages in my business, because now I see it. I see other business owner doing it. I'm like, oh, like it's like a flashback, right? Because I see people blaming their employees, for something that goes wrong, or blaming
you hired them. Like
at the end of the day, you can blame them all you want. Like it's your fucking business. Like I mean,
and what can you control in that situation?
And you become so helpless, right? Like if you say, oh, I can't do anything because of the weather, or like I know in restaurant business, like the weather affects the business a lot. Like, oh, I can't do that because of the weather, or there's nothing I can do because my employee sucks, or there's nothing I can do because the economy is bad. Like once you start playing that excuse game, it makes you helpless. You're basically saying that, okay, I have zero control over my life. Basically, my entire life is based on all these other conditions that happen around me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the pandemic hits, and then you got to get real creative.
Yeah. That's why the
Okay.
pandemic was a good thing for.
It was such,
It was an
it
eye
was,
opener.
yeah, like it was, yeah, I think for a lot of businesses, I think it's hurt a lot of businesses at the same time, especially the restaurant. It just, when you said restaurants, it got me thinking about that. But it also made us get pretty creative. Like, why couldn't I always get my food curbside? Like, why did I have to ever walk into your establishment? You should have always been bringing my food out to me. But
I have to go downstairs to the lobby.
right now?
Like for food?
I thought you were about to leave. I was like,
No.
oh yeah, that's true. Well, see, like here, we can pull up restaurants. Like you used to have to, if you ordered takeout, right? You had to get out of your
you mean
car, you had to go in.
like the old days, like
Yeah. Now
they used to
that
have,
places deliver, but like even if you went,
it's like a drive-through
takeout.
basically.
Yeah, but now they'll come out. You call a number, they come out, they just bring your food to you. Fantastic. Also, all these places that didn't have order online, they've got order online now. Love it. Yeah. Where was all this? Like my vet today, like our dog had to get stitches, and they were like, hey, we'll just come out to the car and remove her stitches. Awesome. Where was all of this before? The zoo, like we have timed entry and there's like low amount of attendance.
You know what I think? Like, I feel like what the modern world has done is like the modern world has made it seem like everything, like, actually, yeah, I do blame the modern world for all of that. Like us thinking that we have no control over our lives, and then we're basically these mindless, like, followers that just follows all these rules, and then everything will be all right. Like it's like even this kind of like, I mean, I'm not saying that the stimulus and all the thing is obviously needed, right? But when they actually announced that they're gonna do the stimulus checks and the bailouts and stuff like that, I was actually kind of annoyed. I'm like people are just never gonna learn. Like, I think, for example, like I feel like everybody thinks that, oh, there's no way the government's gonna let this happen. There's no way that the schools are gonna let this happen. Like, there's no way that my company is gonna let this happen. But it's, at the end of the day, we live in a fucking world. We live in a natural earth. Anything can happen. And you are responsible for your own ass. There's no organization, no government, no anything that's gonna make sure you're okay. But we've created a world where people expect that, right? People expect that, oh, there's no way they're gonna let it, like, that's even a saying, right? There's no way they're gonna let that happen. Like, who's they? Like, there is no such thing as they.
Who's they?
Like, there's no way they're gonna let the economy go to tanks, like go into depression. Who's they? Like, nobody has control over that. If we go into depression, we go into depression. Like, there's nothing you can do about that, So, like, when I heard that, like, something like 70% or 80% of small businesses have enough cash flow to last like 33 days or something like that, and then like the fall for that. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
You hear me?
Yep. What happened?
I don't know. I think my computer is just like, I just had a lot of shit open.
Oh, okay.
But where were we?
You were talking about who's they, and that the government was, the modern world.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, yeah, I feel like we've gotten so like coddled in this like modern world and that's why I think a lot of people just blame everything and everyone for everything, right? Like they're like, oh, it's because of, it's because of the government, it's because of the president, it's because of my boss, or it's because, but you're like, everybody should just take responsibility for themselves. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, it's easier said than done. I mean, it's really, I mean, I found myself blaming, I think in every aspect of my life, there are moments in which I blame at all the external stuff. If this would just happen, if they, because I do a lot of like, if they, this person would just act a different way. That's my big one.
You need to start listening to Jocko Willink then.
I know. Well, I can get to a place where, once I like kind of come down off the emotions of it, I can get to a place where I realize it's me. But my initial reaction a lot of times is if they, I'm like that too. If people would just do this, if they would just act this way, if they would just read my mind, then it'd be a whole heck of a lot easier.
Because it's like you're speaking from emotion right away. Like immediately right away. It's like boom, and then you have to like
you have to come down though. And so I think what we're not skilled at as individuals is the ability to take it from the emotion to like the logic. We thrive off of like living off of emotion. It's why we think with our heart, not our heads, right? Like it's okay to think with your heart for a minute, but you have to get practiced. I think it's a practice coming back down.
I think the reason why is because I think the reason why a lot of people are like that is because this modern society, we've been coddled, right? Like, I feel like I've become like that. Like once I started my business and running my business, I feel like I've been getting better at it, better at not being emotional, being able to step out, look at it from an external point of view, take myself out of the situation, like all of those things. But when I was in the corporate world, that like corporate world is what made me that way. Because
yes, yes, like double hand emoji, like double high fives. I'm giving that to you right now. 100. Yes, 100, another one.
Because like when I first came to America from Korea, I was just shocked. I feel like America has weakened me. And then starting a business has actually like made me tougher again, right? Because when I first came here, I was shocked. Like, what? You can like buy stuff and you can return it? Like in Korea, you can't. I mean, like, at least back then, you can't do that. Like when I was younger.
What? Like, yeah. Oh. How old were you when you came over?
I was like 11.
Okay.
It was like in 1990. Okay. So here, what I noticed is that here, consumers are people are very protected. In Korea, it wasn't like that, at least back then, as much, right? People are not. Here, like, you lose your job and what? They give you like unemployment and they give you severance. Like what? Like there's no such thing, but at least in Korea back then, right? So I feel like when I first came here, I was like, oh, this country is freaking amazing. Like, but then it's weakened me, right, over time. And then like, and then I start expecting like, oh, there's no way. And then you start saying, there's no way they're going to let this happen. There's no way they're going to fire me without, like.
Right. They can't fire me.
Yeah. Yeah. Things like that. Cause you feel like you're so safe. You've been coddled in this safe place that you think you're always going to be like that. And then something like the pandemic hits and you're like, what? What? But even then, like the bailout is like, I feel like it's weak. I personally think that they should have let these companies go out of business. Like, I think all those, especially those big companies, right? I think they should have I think they should have let the economy tank.
Yeah, I was going to say, what would have happened.
I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I think that's what's going to actually make us stronger. That's when people are going to open their eyes and see like, fuck, no, we actually live in a real world where you can't just like, make money by like fucking posting on Instagram and like getting, $1 million from sponsorships. Then like that world is not real, right? Like that government's going to give us like $100 million to bail us out so we can stay on business. Like, that's not a real world, And
Yeah.
maybe people will start saving money, right? Because I'm just like, it boggles my mind that how little people save money, like how little people are living paycheck to paycheck, or how little businesses are just barely surviving like that. Like if you only have 30 days runway in your business, you probably shouldn't be in business, right? But I see it on Instagram too, right? I see so many people that are like, they can't actually afford to be in business, but they have this dream of like, because all this entrepreneurship like is such a trendy thing, they have this dream of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I'm like, no, you're not. Fuck you. Like go back to get a job and then like actually build your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that really like saddens me because like
I can tell you got a lot of passion about this.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's because I see it happening all around, and I feel like we're not doing anything about it. We're actually, every time we do these bailouts, every time like somebody saves the day or something like that, it's just all it's doing is it's making us weaker.
Yeah,
I kind of secretly like. I secretly want to live in like a Mad Max kind of apocalyptic world where it's like every man for himself. Like
I know. So as you were talking, like, and you're talking about like, all I envisioned was like at the early stages of the pandemic when Michael went to the grocery store and forged the most random food that was left. And like our cabinets are stuffed with like these random things that are supposed to keep us alive during an apocalypse.
Like a movie.
Like, yeah, like I just had all these visions of like The Walking Dead, and that's where we were. Like that's how we lived. As you were talking, like I'm drinking water from my pool. Like I'm like trying to run away from
that's
zombies.
Kind of my secret fantasy, like
not mine. Not mine, or for my children. If me and my children can make it through before Mad Max,
that'll make life interesting, no?
It's already interesting. I'm good at the interest level. As
you're like, it's interesting enough.
I've got a lot of interest. I've had my a lot of interesting things happen to me. But yeah, I just don't want to live that life. I think I like the coddling.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I don't think Shake Shack should have been coddled though. They got the triple P. They got part of the triple P loan.
I mean, but the biggest is like the big airlines, right? I actually think what should have happened, because I think there were a few airlines that had enough cash that they could have lasted an entire year. I forgot. I don't know if it was Southwestern or one of those airlines had enough cash. Southwest. Yeah. So what I think should have happened, because what I see happening right now with airlines is that those big airlines actually have the worst service.
Yeah.
And they're actually usually the most expensive, their tickets, right? Yeah. I think those airlines, all those big airlines, they should have just let them go out of business. Then these smaller airlines, yeah, like Southwest, Virgin, JetBlue, the guys that are actually doing it right, they're doing a good job, and they're actually being more competitive in their pricing and all of that. Mm-hmm. They should have let those guys thrive because, and then all those people who got fired from American Airlines, now they can come work for these guys, right?
Yeah. They probably won't make it though. Because the
problem that's happening is, yeah, that's true.
The criteria to work for Southwest is very
good. Because those people should be like, I feel the same way about like teachers, right? Like I think teachers are like the worst because teachers, like especially if they're like tenured, they're never going to get fired. So because I know a lot of teachers, like public school teachers and shit, like they're the worst. They literally just give zero fuck about the students. They literally don't care about like their job, right? They're literally counting the days until they can retire, and and the reason why is because of the whole they're coddled, like
Mm-hmm.
so. I totally believe in, like, I'm a total capitalist. Like, I think there should be competition. I think people
Yeah.
should, like, and as soon as like, um, and I actually I don't even believe in like free healthcare, because I feel like one of the biggest problems with insurance is, like, I think the reason why the insurance prices are so high is because, like, drug companies and hospitals they feel like they can charge whatever they want, because the end user is not paying for it themselves, right? The insurance company is going to pay for it, so they can keep jacking up the prices. But if you look at something like LASIK, right? LASIK surgery, where people have to pay out of pocket. Like, I remember when LASIK first came out, like 15 years ago, it used to cost like $30,000,
Right.
and it takes days to heal. Now you can get a LASIK for like $3,000, and like you can go home the same. Like,
I was gonna say, like, it's like 1,500. I see some deals like 1,500 per eye. I'm like, okay, yeah.
But the reason why that happened is because people were paying out of their pocket. Therefore, these doctors and these places had to compete for it, and that's what's going to drive the healthcare prices down, by actually like letting people compete. Like, and same thing with I think it's the same thing with schools too. Like, I'm all for government aid. So don't get me wrong. I'm not this like super right wing, like, like every man for themselves. But I think what the government should do is government should just give people cash. Like, the people that need it, give them cash and let them make the decision on which doctor they want to go see, like what school they want to go to, right? But that's not happening right now. Now they're not giving them cash. They're forcing them to take Medicare or whatever it is, and they're forcing them to use this thing. So the hospitals don't have to compete. Like, the insurance companies don't have to compete, because like, they don't have to win the business. All they need to do is lock in this government contract, and their job is done. They don't have to actually compete for the end users, money.
Yeah. And I remember, like, in I used to work in healthcare. But when I used to work in healthcare, I remember and I was getting my MBA. We did a project, and I remember one of the examples. I don't remember all the details of it, but we talked about how, like, if you go to get your car worked on, you go to multiple mechanics and get 2 or 3 quotes, maybe.
Yeah.
See who has the best reviews. You can ask for referrals. You can see how much the estimates are. You can ask them a lot of questions. But yeah, we go into surgeries and our healthcare like so blind. And actually, my mom just she was getting a CT scan, and her insurance company called her and said, "Hey, you can actually get the CT scan at this place a little bit cheaper.
Oh, really?
Would you go to this place instead? We'll set it up. We'll do everything." And she was like, because she's not paying for it.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
Yeah, she was like, "Does it change how much I pay?" And they were like, "No, I mean, you're whatever." And she was like, "No, then I'm going to go to this place because it's more convenient."
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I could see it happening I have some clients that are in research, right? Like Columbia University Medical Center, like their research departments, and they're mostly government funded. Those research searches are government funded. And whenever I work with any clients that are like government funded or like grant funded projects, oh my gosh, they literally move at snail speed.
Yes.
Like, we need to have a meeting with like 10 people about some fucking stupid, like, one line that we need to talk about, like the login button or whatever. Like, it's so useless, because these people have zero incentive to like actually launch fast or, you know, compete or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just drives me crazy.
I could tell. I could tell. I could tell. I mean, it won't change overnight. But I get
I
what you're
guess like
saying about the coddling.
how this relates to like personal brands, if I were to relate it back, is like I'm doing Amy's course right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what she talks about is just like, even though it's like a course about creating a digital course, like a lot of the things that she has to talk about is like business related, right? Like how you have to be resilient and how you have to be, you know, you have to do the small things. Like it's because, you know, a lot of people think that business is about what you know, the skills that you have, that's what you need in order to succeed in business. But like from my personal experience, like some of the most successful business owners that I know actually don't have any skills. They don't actually have like a particular skill. They're not particularly like smart, right? Actually, the most successful ones that I know are like not the smartest ones, right?
Yeah.
But they, you know, but they have resilience. They do those small things, right? They listen to smart people around them,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's kind of like what any business, anyone that's starting a business, not just personal brands, like need to understand. Like, you know, if you're gonna run a business, like you have to have that resilience. You have to. It's just like it's every time I try to talk to like a new entrepreneur, and they're like, oh, how can I build my list? How can I get more, you know, followers? How can I like increase my customers like organically without paying for ads, right? and and that's kind of like that's the one wishful thinking that every entrepreneurs have, right? And to me, it's like I hate to be like the bearer of the bad news, but like dude, I guarantee you're probably not gonna be profitable for at least the next year, right? So don't ask me questions about like how can I monetize in the next 3 months, right? Because like if you're thinking like that, you're already not gonna make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Or
just
you're going to
accept
have a reality check.
yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
sooner you accept the fact that that's not going to happen and you're in it for the long run and
Yeah.
you start doing those little things to slowly build up your audience, the sooner you're going to succeed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or you're just going to be frustrated that your bank account is empty.
And what's even more frustrating is that when I say that, because all these personal brands, coaches, business coaches, entrepreneurs, marketers, whatnot, because they've heard this before from Gary Vee, and they've heard the spiel like about like you know
Yeah.
that you have to have patience, that you have to have all of that. So they're like, yeah, I know, right? I'm like, okay, if you know, fucking do it. Like, I know, but what should I do in the like they say the high level cliche, and then their actions go right back to trying to monetize it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what you're doing right now is what's going to hurt your business. Like, because you're chasing your potential customers away. You're like, if you know what I mean, you should be nurturing your customer right now through those emails for the next 9 months, not
Trying to sell them.
sending promotional sales email every email. Like that's how you're going to
Right.
actually lose. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you have to build a relationship, because it is, if you are doing like personal branding, one thing I've learned is like you're building a relationship. So what does Donald Miller say? Like you're doing the date thing. Like you don't ask someone to marry you like the
Well,
first
he
time you
says
talk to
like
them.
with that, I think what he talks about is like you have to have two call to actions on a page, the primary and secondary call to action. So the primary is like, will you marry me? And the secondary is like, will you go out with me?
Yeah.
In case like the worst one doesn't work out.
Yeah.
You know
But
what I
he
mean?
talks about like even in his book, like you have to keep asking,
Yeah.
you may have to keep asking them out. Like you may have to
Yeah.
date them for a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
and
What Gary
especially
Vee
like,
says is I think related to this, because he has the jab, 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 right hook. And he says
yeah,
like give, and then ask.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, we just built a funnel that was like, I think there might be like there's probably like 15 emails and there might be one like very blatant like call to action. Like we're asking them to like buy something. And the others are just like,
yeah, that sounds about right.
nurtured. Yeah. The others are just like, a lot of them are giving tools away, telling stories.
Yeah. I think the most important is being relatable, telling relatable stories.
Yeah.
And the only way you can do that is by being authentic in your stories. Because I think a lot of people like tell stories and then like they try to like craft this story. But the stories that actually work the best is when you just tell it literally down to the T exactly how it actually happened.
Yeah.
Because you can't write a better story than the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about like Vanessa Lau and like
Yeah.
Laura
We
Bell
talked about
Gray.
her. Yeah.
Like their emails are like the reason why they get such high conversion rate when they sell on emails is because they have the type of audience that are looking forward to their email every week. Like they're waiting for that email. And what I noticed is that it's not because they're giving this like some secret information, like they're teaching this information that nobody else has. It's not that. It is that their emails are so authentic, so raw, so vulnerable that when the right person is reading it, they're going like, oh shit, like I can so see myself in her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that I don't see in anyone else.
Yeah.
And that's actually the number one thing that sells.
Mm-hmm. Like it, like feeling like you're like the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can relate to them. Yeah.
Those people, like, even though they have smaller mailing lists than some huge people, they actually sell just as much in terms of like their sales.
Oh yeah.
In terms of dollars, it's just as much.
Because they have a higher percentage converting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it surprises me even more when a new entrepreneur says like they want to hire a copywriter to write that, right? I'm like, no, like if you look at my clients that are so fucking busy and they have like an entire team of 10 people that does all of this, even manage their social media and all of that, like that email is written by them. That's the one thing that you have to do yourself.
That they do. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can't outsource that.
Yeah.
Because that's your weekly email that goes out to the clients, to the audience. That's literally your direct relationship. Those are the direct conversations you're having with them. That's what's going to build a relationship. Yeah. So you can't outsource that. You might as well just outsource your whole business if you're going to do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, like for us, like Michael's emails do so well because he does write them. Like people respond to his emails, because he writes them.
Yeah, I think there are certain things that you have to do yourself that you just can't outsource.
Yeah.
Like too many people are into this whole fucking Tim Ferriss outsource. Like Tim Ferriss is a perfect example, right? With his 4-hour work week. He talks about outsourcing everything, right?
Everything, yeah.
But he still the one thing he does himself is write his own blog and write his own email. Like he'll never outsource that.
What do you do, Tim? Whatever Tim does, you should do. And only work 4 hours a week.
I'm sure he works like 80 hours a week.
Yeah. Hello. Hello, of course.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like why I did the whole like cliche thing, because I I guess you know how Donald Miller says, like, you know, one of the things that he talks about is that, like, what's so wrong in the world, right? And like you're that's your enemy. That's what you're trying to fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess one of
Oh
the things
yeah.
that I feel like is so wrong in the world right now is that because there's so many thought leaders, so many influencers and things like that out there, everything that they're saying has become a cliche, that everybody knows everything, and everybody knows everything, and they're all trying to teach the same thing. Like they listen and they teach the same thing when they haven't actually experienced it themselves. And therefore, you know, the one part that really, really bothers me is the authenticity thing. Is everybody's saying be yourself, authenticity, blah, 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 blah. But
Mm-hmm.
so little people actually practice it,
Mm-hmm.
like almost no one, in my opinion. And it, to me, it's really like it feels like I'm watching a baby about to like crawl off this cliff, because I see it so clearly, right? I see it so clearly that, dude, all you have to do is literally just be honest in those emails. All you gotta do, like literally, is every week when you write those emails, just be completely honest. Don't even fake it a little bit, right? When you post that Instagram post, just be completely honest. Don't even fake it a little bit, right? Don't try to show off. Don't try to brag. Don't try to preach. Like, just be completely raw, right? That's all you gotta do, and you're gonna fucking blow up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's so obvious to me, but literally not one single person does it. Yet they go around telling other people to be authentic and telling other people to be honest. Like, that's like what I feel like I'm watching a baby walk off a cliff, because
Yeah.
I'm just watching this fucking happen. I'm watching this like disaster happen right in front of my eyes. And like I'm just sitting there going like, it's because of these cliches, right? Because they're still saying it because of the cliche. So I'm seeing it going like, what can I do? What can I say to make them actually see that they're about to walk off the cliff, right? Like, because that's all literally they have to do. It's so simple.
Why do you think it's so hard? So okay, simple is not the same as easy, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that are simple, but they are not easy to do. Actually, I was having a conversation in the comments with someone about this. Like, doing that is so hard, and there is a reason
like,
why people are not doing
honest.
it. Yeah, there's a reason. So
okay,
why.
Why don't you tell me? So here's my theory, and then you tell me what you think. My theory is this: like, I don't think they truly believe that if they do it, if they just like become an open book, like pour their soul out, like wear their heart on their sleeves, and just be completely vulnerable. I don't think that they believe that that'll actually help them grow their brand. Like, they don't, even though they hear it, they hear from all the cliche, they know that that's what they should be doing. They don't actually believe it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that might be part of it. I think that another is like just the fear of subconsciously as humans, there's like a real fear around exposing yourself and doing something different in front of thousands and thousands of people.
What's the outcome that they're afraid of?
Survival. I think there's like this innate survival
that
voice.
They're going to ruin their brand.
They're going to ruin their brand, or they're just, and it's all like subconscious. I don't know that we know. Like, I think some of this, like, we don't know that that's driving our decisions. We don't think.
That's what I mean. That's why I don't think that they truly believe in it deep down in their heart. So what I'm saying is, if you just do that, that your brand is going to go like this, right?
Yes.
But then I think deep inside, I think they believe that if they do that, their brand is going to go like this.
Yeah.
And what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think what I'm saying is that I don't know that Yeah. I guess it's similar, but like just social, like this fear of like Michael calls it social death versus physical
Mhm.
death. Like you won't be accepted. We've kind of talked about this before. Um, but
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
with
just
personal brand, it's a bigger stake because you're putting your name out there. So if you
right.
ruin your reputation as a person, that's gonna stay with you till the day you die.
Right. And I don't even know that like it's like a fear that I'm going to ruin anything.
Mhm.
It's just a fear of like putting yourself like you're out there exposed. Like you have shown like this part of yourself that maybe it doesn't fall within all the cliches that like you're taught, right? Like it's not following all the rules in the books of what you're
And
supposed to do. And it may
you
not
might be
work.
contra,
And
yeah.
yeah, you may
So
be
like fear of
contradicting the
judgment.
rules. Yeah,
Yeah.
fear of judgment, fear of just putting yourself out there. It's like public speaking, we all get this like fear of like being exposed. That visceral feeling of like being exposed and all eyes
It's
on
not logical
you.
at all. Yeah.
It's not, yeah, it's just like this. And so it's subconsciously driven. And I think it's just our human nature to like, it's our survival instinct. Our survival instincts, I
So
think,
how do you fix that?
drive us to like hide ourselves. I think you have to find other people that walk that path that can A, hold you accountable, and B, talk to you about it, like hold up a mirror when they see that you're not living a life true to yourself. Um, and then you have to have a safe place. Like you have to have like I said, a community, a safe place of people to go back to that are going to accept you no matter what. Because if you don't have that safe place, then you're just exposed and there's
I
nowhere to
guess
go
that
back
makes it
to.
easier. That if you're in that place and you have a society like that, that makes it easier for you to do that because you see everybody else doing it.
Yes, like you've got people around you who are doing it, and there's a
But
place
you
to
still
come
have to
back
do
to
it. Yeah, you still have to do it on your own out in the real world.
out in the real world. Yeah, like Michael talks about, I think he even says this in the TED Talk, right? Like when he had to admit to the landlord where he was trying to get,
Yeah.
or no, he had to
Oh,
admit
no,
to
he didn't say it in
the
the.
hiring
Yeah,
manager
yeah.
that he was an addict, and his sponsor said, "Yeah, just tell him the truth." And he was like, "Man, I can't do that. This is not a 12-step meeting. This is like
Yeah.
the real world."
It's almost like he needed that permission from somebody else to say, yeah, you should. That's what you have to do. Because
Yeah, that's
like
what.
for me, if I have to make a decision, like one of the things that I literally feel like my job, part of my job with my clients is that like a lot of people a lot of people want to be told what to do, right? Like a lot of people like let's say they have to make a big business decision. Should I do this? Should I do that? Right? And
Mm-hmm.
literally like a lot of decisions, like it doesn't really matter which one you go with, as long as after you decide, you just stick to it, right? And you just
Mm-hmm.
go all in, right? That's what's more important. And a lot of my clients, they turn to me like, son, what should I do? Should I do this or should I do this? And what they want from me more than anything is to say, hey, you should do that because of this, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
But in reality, they could have also done this, right? But what they really want is that permission to say, yeah, you can do that, right? Like, because they don't want to be the one that make the decision alone by themselves, and then they have no idea if they did the right thing or not. But as soon as
Yeah.
a sponsor says, yeah, you should tell them the truth,
Like, right.
just makes it easier.
Makes it easier. Yeah. Yeah. And to know that you have like an entire support system
Who agrees
behind
with
you
it?
if you make that decision, even if that decision goes poorly, right? Because that doesn't mean that Michael is going
Because
to get
if
the
you,
job. Like,
yeah, let's say you if you were being honest, you didn't get the job or you got fired, right? Your whole
right.
family might be like, "Look what you did, Michael!" Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and that feels even worse, right? Because
Yeah.
now you
But
got rejected.
yeah, but like when you've got a group of people that like accept you unconditionally, um, Because just because someone's granted you permission doesn't mean that it's going to work out
Yeah.
The way that you want it to. But
And somebody has, and there has to be, and you have to know that that's okay too.
you have to surrender it. Yeah. Like you have
Like for
to
me,
let it go.
for me, so I see what you mean now. Like for me, it's kind of like, why don't you just do it? Why don't you just, whatever you're scared of, you're vulnerable, why don't you just say it, right? It's easy for me to say, but I think the first time of doing anything is always the hardest, right?
Yes.
Like the first time you ever ask a girl out in your entire life that's going to be the hardest experience of asking a girl out. Like literally the second time, it already gets so much easier. And then the more you do it, it gets easier. But the first one, the difference between the first one and the second one is like huge.
Yeah.
And I think from starting with the second one, it's not as big.
Yep.
But that first step is always like, and the analogy that I was thinking of is, it's almost like, in like a toilet, like when a toilet is like clogged, if you just like get a bucket of water and you just dump it in there, it'll like flush. It'll go through.
It'll like force it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people logically know that. But let's say you have an overflowing tub, like the water is like up to there, and you have to like pour water in there. Even if you know logically that it's gonna work, to actually get yourself to do it is hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's for illogical reasons, right?
Yeah, because everything in your body is saying, don't do that.
Yeah. But the first time you actually do it and you see it work, and it's proof that it worked. Literally, the second time it's going to get so much easier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about, this is a really funny example. I was thinking about when I had heartburn so bad when I was pregnant, that my friend was like, just drink some baking soda water. And it was like the most disgusting thing I've ever had in my life, but it was like instantaneous relief. So every time after that, it was a whole heck of a lot easier to drink that baking soda water, because I was like, I know I'm going to feel so much better after I drink this.
Yeah. So I guess that gives you the faith that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Like, I mean, 0 to 1 on having kids, like that was way harder than like, I mean, there's complications adding a second baby, but yeah, you have the experience, you have the knowledge, you have less fear. It takes that's why all of this is practice. That's why what Michael teaches is, it's not a one and done. A lot of these courses are like productivity things or they all seem like it's like one and done. I don't know that if they intentionally mean for it to come off that way, but I feel like they all come off that way. Like, do this course and you're done. You're like healed of your,
I guess it depends on what you're teaching. Because if you're teaching, let's say, a web design, I mean, once you learn it, you're done. Like,
but there's always like room to improve, right? There's practice. I don't know. I would
there's
argue
a next
that there's
level.
like, there's like, there's some things that are very,
but that's
binary.
A different course.
Yeah. But it's this authenticity thing, like putting yourself out there like that, writing that simple post, writing that simple email. Just like you were saying, the first one's not going to be easy, but you have to keep practicing, even though it was painful. Like, if you want to get in shape, you have to practice eating properly and you have to practice exercising. Like, if you want to be better at meditation and be more centered, it's a practice. So all of this stuff that we're talking about is...
you're exactly right. Because even now, for me, it's still hard. It's never easy, right? Like everything.
And that's why there's a difference between simple and easy.
Yeah.
Because easy and hard are like simple things are very hard. I think they're harder in many ways.
So I would say the takeaway is if you want to be, first of all, if you think you're being authentic in your marketing, if you think you're being honest in your marketing, you probably are not. for
were you
everyone that's listening.
uncomfortable? Yeah. Were you uncomfortable when you wrote it?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you scared
If
for
not,
someone to read it?
Yeah. You almost have to be like,
Yeah.
send.
Yeah. I'm putting it out there. Yeah, absolutely.
And then, so the first time is going to be definitely the hardest. It's going to be a huge leap. The first time you do it, it gets a lot easier actually, I think, after the first time, but it's still going to be hard for the rest of your life.
And that just means that you're doing it right.
Yeah.
That just means you're doing it right, I think.
Yeah. And that's why you need a daily. It's like the first time you get yourself, if you haven't worked out for years, the first time you get yourself to the gym is going to be the hardest. Mm-hmm. But then once you do it, like literally the second time gets a lot easier. But that doesn't mean a year later you can stop working out.
Right. And it doesn't mean that always getting in your car or walking down to the gym is any more pleasurable. Yeah. But that'll probably be the hardest part forever if it's not something you enjoy. Like I run to the gym. Michael is not excited about going to the gym. But
you're excited about going to the gym?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm like counting the days to my 6-week appointment follow-up that my doctor can say I'm all cleared to exercise again.
Really?
But yeah.
You always been like that?
No. But I after grad school I started working out a lot and not a lot, but every day. And I think it's just more of like A, it's part of my routine. B, I feel like those endorphins afterwards. Like it's such a stress reliever for me. I used to get migraines a lot. And then since regular exercise, like I don't get them anymore. Rarely do I get them. So I think it makes me a better human.
So what's the secret? Like, because I know a lot of people who exercise regularly and for them it's still a chore to get out of bed.
Like for Michael it is. He's like, I hate it. So
what's your secret?
It's just enjoyable for me for some reason. It's just like the same reason like I think other people have. Like there are things that I don't enjoy doing that I think other people probably do. But I look forward to it. It's just something I look forward to every day. I know that's probably some people are like, that makes me sick to think about. But I know there are things that I don't get excited about that other people probably do. Like do people get excited about laundry? I do not get excited about laundry.
But that means you probably got excited about it even before. Like you naturally are enjoying it. That's why you're saying that you naturally actually enjoy the working out part. Mm-hmm. And that's why you do it, right? Whereas in most people, it's a means to an end. They do it because they.
Yeah. I like competing with myself. So I like have spreadsheets of like all my PRs, all my personal records. Mm-hmm. I like the constant, I like watching myself improve. And there's just like there's something to reach for.
What about if you were doing that, let's say, with learning a new skill?
Yes, I'm the same way on that too. Which is why I think I move on very quickly from those things. Exercise has stayed, maybe because I don't feel like I've plateaued in exercise and I enjoy it. I don't know. But yeah, I feel that way about learning new skills too. But I kind of want to learn things and then move on. But
I guess that's kind of how I guess that's the key, right? Like if you want to be, I don't know where I heard this, but most likely if you don't enjoy doing it, you're going to quit at some point. Because you're not going to do something you hate doing for the rest of your life, right? So, yeah. So this person, what they were saying is that if you just hate going to the gym and running, but if you enjoy like playing soccer or basketball, you should probably just do that instead,
Yeah.
because the chance that you're going to stick to that is a lot higher than going to the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah. Well, and I particularly like Orange Theory. Like I like that workout. I don't like running outside. I'll do it. Just that for me is like a means to an end. But I actually genuinely enjoy the Orange Theory workouts and the atmosphere and like the whole experience of it. So I think that probably has a lot to do with it.
No, I think that's actually, I think you're on point. Like, so what would happen if Orange Theory just disappeared one day?
I've thought about that. We basically have like an Orange Theory studio in our house. Like we have all the equipment except for a rower. And
but it's not the same thing, because
it's not.
I'm pretty sure part of it is the community, the environment.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
But during like when we couldn't go work out, like because I was a coach before, I have some of the templates. And they started doing online like Zoom, on your phone. Yeah. Okay. And so I would like do them here, and it definitely wasn't the same, right? Like, but I could do it. Like Michael, on the other hand, like he needs like the person running next to him, like to watch how fast they're running to motivate him to run, and the ability to kind of zone out and just have someone telling you what to do. But yeah, I think you're right. A large part of it is the community and the orange lights.
That's how it is with almost every fitness thing. Like it's like Gigi, she's tried to run the marathon for years. She's tried to like regularly exercise for years. She could never, she quit every time until she found the running club.
There you go. And now she has a community, right?
Yeah. So like the Mask-Free Society, like all these communities, like Baptiste, they're just like, if you want to do something and be successful at anything, whether it's you want to quit drugs or you want to be mask-free, or you want to run a marathon, or you want to get fit, or whatever it is, or you want to be mindful with meditation, whatever, doesn't matter what it is, right? If it's something that benefits you, but you don't want to do, the best way to keep that going is through a community. And I think that's why. That's your takeaway. Yeah. That's your fire for today, everyone. That's true. That's the master dropping the knowledge. You're welcome. Thank you. But yeah, no, I do. I think that I agree. Like the same thing is for being a mom. Like you need the community is a huge part of it. It's why like we have a Facebook group. We have online meetings for the Mask-Free Society. Like you see just like you said earlier, you can see yourself in someone else. I'm just going to show you something real quick. Have you heard of this Instagram account called Common Wild? Common _ Wild. Okay. No. After this, you should check it out right away after this. Yeah. It's for moms. Okay. Common _ Wild. Well, how do you know about it? I don't know. I don't know how I came across it, but I was like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I think you'll really enjoy it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. 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 Oh, this is awesome. Yeah, this girl's awesome. Yeah, you should check out some of their posts, and then I'm gonna follow her. And check her there in her highlights. She has my story. Like it's so amazing. You should check that out. How did you? You don't know how you found her? I don't know. I don't know how I found it. I just maybe I saw it. Somebody shared it or something, or I don't know. Huh? Yeah, she looks cool. But yeah, like even mom thing, like 100% when it comes to fitness, it's when I look at like the yoga communities, and I've seen like Barry's Bootcamp, Orange Theory, like CrossFit, like I really think like 80% of it is the community. Like
It is.
people love it
They put a
because of the other people.
huge emphasis on community within, like, because I actually worked for Orange Theory for a while.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I was a fitness coach. Like, I was a member. I loved it so much. I quit my job and became a coach. I quit my corporate job to go be an Orange
They
Theory
scream at
fitness
people.
coach. No. That, like, their whole thing is like embracing every size, every activity level. Yeah, a huge part of it was community. I mean, the 5 a.m.ers, right? Like, they had their own Facebook group. Like, they made bumper stickers. Like, yeah,
Like them cheering
really
each other. Like that's what they do, right? And those running clubs too. They're like
everyone, like,
and everybody who
there.
comes in, they're welcomed.
Yep, they're welcomed, and like you're there for when someone does their best on their best day, but you're also there for them on their worst day. They've got someone, you know, and
it makes you feel like you belong. Like,
yeah,
you know.
And like when you see a stranger and you see like they have an OTF sticker, or you see something like, I mean, I remember we went to London, and there's an Orange Theory in London, and I felt like I was walking into a group of people that already knew who I was. Like, I didn't feel like there were any strangers. And I definitely didn't know anyone there. And I've been in probably 50 or 60 Orange Theories across the country. Like,
but you feel like you already know them because they've went through the similar experience.
Yeah, we all know how it's going down. We're all doing the same workout. Like, the workout in Shanghai today is going to be the same workout today. Yeah, that we're doing here. Yeah. But I think the takeaway, I think it's about community. And I think it's also about what you said about just put it out there.
That's actually amazing, because I feel like that's the one thing that most personal brands are not doing, not focusing on. They focus on messaging, they focus on marketing, they focus on growing audience, they focus on their courses, they focus on all of those things, but nobody really focused on, okay, how can I build a community where every new person that comes, like a lot of them don't have Facebook groups, like how can I create a community where every person that comes into this community feels welcome, they feel seen, they feel like they belong here. That's what so many people don't work on. But, you know, like Baptiste teaches that. Like, it's a big part of what they teach. And it's because they know that the most successful yoga studios are the ones that have a strong community, not the one that has like the best technical teacher.
Exactly.
And my friend, she's so freaking good at building communities. Like from the moment you meet her, like you feel like she's your best friend. And she's so good at like welcoming people, cheering people up, making them feel like they're seen. Like when she does a Zoom class, she'll literally like call everybody out. It's like, hey, son, you're doing great. Like, you know, do all of that. After each class, she DMs every single one of them personally. And like, she's just so good at creating community. And she like started a membership, and immediately she got like 150 signups, like in 2 days.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And that's like such an important part. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So that's the knowledge that we're dropping today.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's
no charge.
That was a good one. Yeah. This was on you, Elizabeth.
Yeah. And someone was asking, what did you say? Like, what did you say in one of the comments? And I was like, whoa, wait a second. Somebody asked what your hourly rate was.
Oh, really?
And you were like,
like how much
advertising.
We charge on our ads?
Yeah. How much should we charge for our ads? And
for our 80 viewers, 80 listeners?
Like 0. Hey man, don't get crazy.
All right, well, I'll bump that up a little bit.
Yeah, bump it up at least 50 cents. Like, oh, we're not coddling people here.
This episode was sponsored by Orange Theory.
This episode brought to you by. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, and you need to. We're going to do the Insta Stories questions this week.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. And if I don't remember it, Can you text me and remind me?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll remind you.
We should probably do it on like Wednesday or something, right? So it's fresh.
Let's do that. And then we'll answer the question first. We'll start out the podcast.
Yeah. That should be a fun one. Yeah.
That will be fun. Maybe we'll answer more than one.
It's not just us going like on tangents.
I know. We don't ever talk about what we're supposed to. All right. Well,
but we always end on a good conclusion. So.
We always do. We always get somewhere meaningful, I think. But that's how these conversations work. So just fast forward to the end. Just fast forward to the end of all of our podcasts.
I should just like take the last like 5 minutes of every podcast and then just upload that.
Here you go. This instead of following us on this 90-minute journey, just listen to this part. Yeah. You'll get what you need.
I think I should do that. Maybe I should use like Repurpose House or something to send them the full version and then tell them to cut up like pieces or something.
Yeah, they'll do it. They'll do it. You can even hire like a social curator for like $200 extra a month, and they'll find the best parts.
Oh yeah, because that part takes me a long time. That's why I stopped doing it after the first episode.
Yeah, that's hard for me with like Michael's stuff. Is like finding the best parts. So, yeah, they'll do it. And this episode brought to you by Social Curator. If y'all want to give me a month free, that'd be awesome.
I know, right? We'll send
give me a referral link. All right, son. Always a pleasure. I'm going to take care of my little baby now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks. Enjoy
See you
Orange
next
Theory.
week. Thank you. Bye.